インタビュー。
By the way, how many comics are there do you have?
In my house?
Yeah, including digital comic.
Digital comics. Oh, shoot. I have no idea. I mean, I have like my bookcase there, which is no idea.
10,000.
No, not that many. No idea. I don't think it's that many. Like full series, I probably only have like 5 or 6. And then like the last time I was in Japan, you have limited space in your suitcase. So you just buy like issatsu toka and then look up the rest online later.
Yeah.
Digital comics, I don't know. If you included that, it would be kind of a lot.
So what is your work style? Only staying home to go to cafe, traveling?
I used to try to work outside a lot. And then my back started hurting. And the chiropractor told me, like, you have to sit in this specific position if you want to, like, have your neck stop hurting. So now I have to sit in, like, a very specific type of chair, at a specific type of desk, at a specific type of angle. So I only work at home now. But before I used to work in cafes a lot, and I haven't done that in a long time because it's just very uncomfortable physically. I sometimes miss it, just the feeling of going outside. And I think it's important to go outside, especially when you work from home.
So I don't like writing. Even I was a writer and while writing now. But I have to do it. That's why, for me, going outside is essential. That's why running is essential, and running is like doing meditation in a sense. Do you have any tips or hobby to keep your mental or physical health better?
I just have a lot of guilty feelings.
Guilty.
I feel guilty unless I finish my work, so I don't really have any sort of routine. I do some yoga, and I also practice like flamenco dance, but it's not really related to work. It's just kind of so that my body doesn't like end up like that all the time. I think especially flamenco is really good for artists, because all day you're like this, and then you have to have, when you do flamenco, it's very like open chest and like stand up very straight. It's the exact opposite. So I think it balances my body out very well.
Okay, next question. What is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made?
Getting an iPad was very good. I think after I got an iPad, I started drawing a lot more in my free time. Because the computer that I had that I would draw on is like, I can only draw on it while like sitting at my desk. And the iPad, I can use it outside, or I can use it in the bed, or kind of wherever. So it was definitely like a good investment, I think. I wanted to say something like, I don't know, like, investing in my sleep or something like that.
How many hours?
I usually have to have like 8 if I want to feel rested. I need my sleep.
When it comes to iPad drawing, a friend of mine who is also illustrator or animator, when I met him, I was so surprised because many work for him digital, not on the paper. It's standard style about illustration or animation, I guess. But at least me, sometimes writing on the paper is more creative than digital too. What do you think about that?
I think lately I've been feeling a lot like I don't want to be on like devices all of the time. Like digital is, since I was like 13, I've been doing digital art, and it is definitely like a lot easier and more convenient and faster than a lot of other forms. But I don't know, I've been thinking about like the heavy metals and like always being on my phone, and like makes me anxious. And so I started like taking the phone out of the room at night and just having like a piece of paper, or I have the habit of having like a notebook next to my bed always, and a pen, especially like, when you are about to fall asleep, and sometimes you start, when you're tired, sometimes the ideas come more easily. And then so I'll always just have the notebook so that I can write something down really quickly and without like turning my phone on and like having the bright light in the screen. And there's also something I think sometimes about, I don't use sketchbooks anymore because I feel feeling of pressure when I draw in a sketchbook because it's, it's like a book. So I have like a clipboard and I use printer paper. So I always have like that next to my bed also so that I can just like sketch things and it doesn't have to be like cute or pretty or finished or anything. Yeah, and I always have a notebook like in my bag anytime I leave the house, like just in case I need to write or draw something, or if I'm in the street and I want to draw something, like I always try to keep a notebook with me.
So in your experience, when can you come up with the idea? Which occasion is easier to come up with the idea?
I think it's often like when I'm about to take a nap. I get a lot of ideas when I'm like about to fall asleep or about to take a nap. I think there's something about being relaxed makes it easier to get ideas. Some friend of mine was saying that taking walks helps him a lot. And I was trying to think if that's really the case for me, but I think I don't take enough walks. Maybe if I took more walks, then that would be a little bit more helpful. But I think definitely like when I'm resting, I get a lot of ideas because I'm not making the effort to, I think getting ideas is not really like, it's not an active process. It's more kind of a process of like receiving. So you have to kind of more passive and receptive rather than like, if you go looking for the ideas, like they generally don't come.
In such a sense about creation, so I think, needless to say, relaxation is very important. But if audience want to become a kind of creator, illustrator, journalist, or etc., it's very difficult to be relaxed sometimes. Maybe perhaps this question is the most important question today. So you are a cartoonist, illustrator, and you are published, but many creators fighting about between creating and making money. In such a sense, how do you deal with the thing? Like I said, how do you keep your creativity?
This is that's the big question. I've been very lucky so far. I mean, I don't always get to take the jobs that I want. Like, I don't always get to do exactly what I want to do. And it has also happened that, even though making comics and making manga is something that I've always wanted to do and that I love a lot, when the question of money is on the table, it changes the intrinsic nature of creating. And there's a book that I read last year that explains this very well. It's called The Gift by Lewis Hyde. And it talks about how creative gifts sort of change when they're entered into a marketplace and they become something else. Once they become a product, it kind of ceases to be a gift, or the relationship between like gift and product, or like a creative act and product, is very complicated. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately because it is something that I struggle with. Like, how do you even like keep your love for the creative act when it doesn't feel like a creative act anymore? And I have been feeling very burnt out lately and very tired and very frustrated because I have been devoting so much energy to my job that I have like no creative energy left to do anything else other than my job. And I think like, there's also, what is her name? Julia Cameron. She's the author of The Artist Way.
I read.
Yeah, she has one chapter, I think, that's about money. And at the beginning of the chapter, she says something about how like money comes and goes. Sometimes you're going to be famous. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes your work will be well received. Sometimes you will have to have another job, but you have to make the art the center of your life.
I also saw in your profile, you really love music, right? Could you share one song that stimulates your creativity the most?
It's so hard to narrow it down to one song, but I think the one choose for today is the song Agape by Nicholas Britell.
Is it very famous
No,
song?
it's from a movie that I've never seen.
What's it like, and why did you choose it?
Instrumental, and it has this feeling of kind of like building. It almost feels like a fountain of light. I wouldn't say that there's like a specific song that I always listen to when I like want to do creative work. It's more like I have one playlist now. I was like looking at this playlist before this interview, like that has a lot of songs that like I have listened to, like, and gotten ideas for scenes, or when I like want to write a specific scene, sometimes I will play the song so that I get into that mood. This one has kind of like a very, like the word agape is, I'm not going to translate it right. It means like a specific type of love. I don't remember exactly what type of, I think it's supposed to be like unconditional love or something like that. And it definitely has that feeling of just like, it makes you feel like very warm and bright. And so I've listened to this song while like writing certain scenes of the project I'm trying to develop right now.
いつも、インタビューをご視聴いただいてありがとうございます。この度スタートしたメンバーシップでは、各界のトップランナーから戦争体験者に至るまで2000人以上にインタビューしてきた僕が、国内外の取材、そして旅の中で、見つけた人生をアップデートするコンテンツをお届けしていきたいと思います。ここでしか聞けない特別インタビューや秘蔵トークにもアクセスしていただけます。随時これは面白い、これはいいんじゃないかっていうコンテンツも、アップデートしていきますので、そちらも含めてどうか今後の展開を楽しみにしていただけたらと思います。なお、いただいた、皆様からのメンバーシップのこの会費はですね、インタビューシリーズの制作費だったり、国内外のインタビューに伴う交通費、宿泊費、その他、取材の諸々の活動経費に使わせていただきたいと思っています。最後になぜ、僕が無料で、インタビューを配信し続けるのか少しだけお話しさせてください。この一番の理由はですね、僕自身が、人の話によってうつや幾度の困難から救われてきたからです。そして何より、国内外のたくさんの視聴者の方からこれまで人生が変わりました、前に進む勇気をもらいました、救われましたという声をいただき続けてきたからに他なりません。この声は、世界が、コロナ禍に見舞われた2020年頃から、一層増えたように思います。これは本当に、ありがたいことです。ただ同時に、それだけ、心身ともに疲弊したり不安を抱えたりしている方が増えていることに他ならない、その裏返しであると僕は強く感じています。正直に言えば僕自身も15年以上前に起業して以来、最大のピンチと言っても過言ではない時期を、この数年送り続けてきました。でもこんな時だからこそ守りに入ることなくインスピレーションと学びにあふれるまだ見ぬインタビューを、送り続けることが、インタビュアーとしての、自分の使命なのではないかと強く感じています。世界がますます混迷を極め先の見えない時代だからこそ、僕はインタビューの力を信じています。これまでのようにトップランナーや戦争体験者の方への取材はもちろん、今後は僕たちと同じ市井の人、普通の人の声に耳を傾けたり、ややもすると内向きになってしまう今こそ海外でのインタビューに力を入れていきたいと思っています。そして彼らの一つ一つの声を音声や映像だけでなく、本としてもしっかりと残していきたい、そう考えています。そんな思いに共感してくださる方が、このメンバーシップの一員になってくださったらこれほど心強く、そして嬉しいことはありません。ぜひメンバーシップの方でも、皆様とお耳にかかれるのを楽しみにしています。以上、早川洋平でした。